Hey, what's up, guys? It's Randall from Odds Jam back with you Monday afternoon. Going to take a look, see what's out there for Monday Night Football. Pretty slow day in the sports world. No MLB. We've got some NBA preseason action, but not a lot out there in terms of betting opportunities. So we'll see if we can find anything for the NFL tonight. If not, we'll take a look. We'll do it anyway. We'll take a look and see some of the lines for next week, look at some of those odds and go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and jump over to the EV page. We'll take a look. We'll see what is out there. Let's go ahead and turn the recommended filters on. As always, if you've got any questions, feel free to throw those in here. Happy to answer those questions. Slowed by Wade. Yeah, let's make some money. Although I guess that comment's from earlier this morning, but yeah, let's make some money here and see what we can find. So, looking out here, at least as of right now, with the recommended filters on, got a couple of bets here on this under 7 and the Yankees Guardians. Looks like that has moved. Western Kentucky, Middle Tennessee looks like a little bit of value there. We can take a look and see that play. Let's look at that a little bit more. Looks like a decent play. Western Kentucky, Middle Tennessee under 66.5. If we look at that, we can see that it's minus 110 on FanDuel. Looks like the main line is somewhere around 66, 65.5 at some other books. Looks like BetOnline actually has this at 65. So, I mean, this looks like a pretty good bet. We're getting a half a point of value with all of the sports books, and we're getting 1.5 when we compare the odds to BetOnline. So, Jacob, what site do I use? This is oddsjam.com is where I'm at. Is the site that I'm using right now for all of this information. So, looks like the under 66.5 looks to be a pretty solid play. This game's not until Saturday, but we'll go ahead and lock it in. We're going to bet that one. I mean, in college football, NFL, if you're going to place bets and get the best value, you definitely want to do so early in the week. So let me go ahead and just get logged into FanDuel, go back to sharing my screen here in just a second, and we'll take a look and see what is out there. So, or not what's out there. We'll go ahead and lock that in. So college football, we're looking for Western Kentucky. Go ahead and just see if we can find this very quickly. Western Kentucky under 66.5, minus 110. Kelly's telling us to put $20 on that. So we'll go ahead and we'll throw $20 on the under 66.5. We'll place that bet. We'll jump back over here. We're going to add that to our bet tracker. Replace $20 at minus 110. Again, just to go back over, why this is good, or why this is a good bet. If we look at it, we can see that, all of the other books are sitting at 65.5, 66. BetOnline sitting at 65. So to answer your question, Ryan, yeah, BetOnline is a very, very sharp book. It's a book that I always like to view the odds in if I can, because it is a very sharp book. So something always worth looking at. So like this one, for example, I mean, it's already moved, but you can see Bookmaker is another very sharp one. If we were looking at BetOnline and Bookmaker for this game, again, these lines have moved. So this isn't a great example, but it is a good example to show you that you could have gotten under 7 at plus 105. BetOnline and Bookmaker, two very sharp books, both have it juiced to the under. So giving me even more confidence that this under 7 would have been a very good bet had we been able to actually get that in. So let's go ahead and refresh the page here and see if there's anything out. I've got the recommended filters off now. Let's see if there's anything for underdog or prize picks for tonight. Not seeing anything. Looks like, I guess for tonight, I guess it'll only be the NFL. McKinnon under 1.5 receptions on Thrive. If you don't have Thrive, you can check out the link in the description below. $100 to sign up. You get a $100 sign up bonus. So, I mean, this isn't really like great value. I mean, you're basically getting what the no vig odds are at minus 111. But you can see most of these books have this juice to the under. Bet Online, Pinnacle, DraftKings, Caesars, all juice to the under. So you're getting minus 111. That would be a pretty good one to lock in there. You would still need to find another one, and I don't see another one that's out there, but that looks to be a pretty good leg for at least one of your entries there. Let's see here. What do you think of FanDuel's promo for tonight? Tones catching a heater super boost. So let's see. I'm not for sure what promo that is. Right here. So Chiefs minus 5.5, Mahomes plus 250 passing yards. I mean, you're getting the Chiefs at, normal line's minus 1.7, or I'm sorry, minus 1.7. Goodness, minus 7, minus 114. It looks like that actually might move to 7.5. And then Mahomes to throw for 250 plus. I mean, it was plus 125. You're getting plus 200. I mean, you're definitely getting some value there in terms of that. Adams and Kelsey to each have 50 plus receiving yards. I mean, that looks really good. Let's take a look at that one because that one actually looks to be more interesting to me than the actual one that you mentioned. I will say, I mean, and this is just a stats trends, take it for whatever it's worth. Teams that are getting ready to go into the bye week typically play games that go over the total. So for whatever that's worth, the over tonight, I mean, again, that's pretty well-known trend. Teams who are entering the bye week, which that would be the Raiders, typically playing games that go over the total. So, I mean, if you like that and you think there's something to that, you've got to think that in order to be points, there has to be, some yards gained. So if we're looking here at Kelsey, so Kelsey's total is 72.5, 76.5 in some spots. Adams is 75.5, 76.5. I mean, that looks like a really good bet. And one other thing you can do, I mean, we can look at Travis Kelce's stats. We can see, I mean, he's gone over 50 yards in every game this year. Devontae Adams, obviously a favorite target of Carr. I mean, 101 last week, 36, 12, 141. So I don't know, maybe Adams doesn't get it, but I mean, if you're looking at the numbers, I mean, 75, 76, I mean, that looks to be a really good bet there on that. Minus 170 now, plus 100 odds. Let's see, Brian. Hey, how's it going? Nice to see you today. Jake, how do I enter an odds boost for a player touchdown in the bet tracker? So if you're wanting to do that, you would go to the bet tracker, you would go to your bets, and then you would just click add bet, and then you would select your sports book. So let's say your sports book is DraftKings. For the market name, I would probably just put anytime TD boost. And then for your bet name, I mean, you could put whatever it is, and then you just put your odds, how much you staked, and then you could go ahead and save those changes, and you could enter it into your bet tracker that way. So that's how you could add a boost for a player to score a touchdown. Tim, good afternoon. How you doing? Nice to see you here. Price, what are some of the sharpest books in the U.S.? I mean, sharpest books in the U.S., good question. I would say, I mean, for the offshore books, I mean, it's definitely Bookmaker and Bet Online. In terms of sharp books, maybe main markets, say maybe DraftKings and Caesars being the top two. I mean, that's being based on me being here in Illinois, not having a whole lot of sports books. But from what I've seen, probably DraftKings and Caesars would be what I would say. But I mean, I love to compare, like I said, Bet Online, bookmaker, and in terms of, sharp books to look at. So have you found yourself using Prize Picks less now that Thrive is available, Daniel? So I still need to get signed up on Thrive Fantasy. Thrive is a little different. We only saw one play today. I haven't seen a whole lot for Thrive, at least when I've been on the product. So I'm hoping, Daniel, to answer that question, I'm hoping that once the NBA starts, NHL, I can see some more, have some more time to devote to that. Prize Picks seems to be a little bit easier to pick up some value for me. I mean, here's one right here, just at the top of the page, to be able to lock in. So we'll definitely be using both. But right now for me, it's been mainly Prize Picks. Math-based bets, loving the live streams. Thank you. Definitely enjoy doing them. Glad you guys, hopefully you're finding them useful as we're doing those here. I'm just kind of taking a look to see, it looks like the Raiders here. Let's just take a look at that game because we can do that. So we can search. I'm going to clear the odds. We can search by game. So if we want to just see, so say you're going over to some friend's house tonight, you want to bet on this game. These are all of the bets that you can make that have an edge. You're not just throwing a dart. So you're actually placing bets that, have a mathematical edge. I mean, it looks like Adams under 77.5 has some value at Caesars. Raiders +6, Raiders +5, Raiders on the money line. We mentioned the over, being kind of a trendy play, but it looks like the value is actually on the under here. With the Chiefs Raiders game under 50. So take that for what it's worth. Jake, what is your NFL or NHL strategy? I mean, my NHL strategy is solely to use the positive EV page and use the recommended filters. I don't follow hockey enough. I don't follow hockey well enough to know anything about it. So I totally stick to the recommended filters, or that's what I'll be doing with hockey this year, or turning the recommended filters off and looking for some plays there as well. So that'll be my strategy for NHL this year. And it was the same one that I used last year during the playoffs. So one thing I do like about hockey, and there's nothing live right now, although actually I guess there is tennis match here at PointsBet. But one thing I like about hockey is you can oftentimes find a lot of very good live betting opportunities. So I really do like to look for live betting, especially betting live totals in hockey, live over-unders for that. So let's see here. Jonathan, do you think it's safe to push the spread to -9 to give me plus odds for the Chiefs? I mean, I depending on your rationale to why you would want to move that spread. I mean, I will say this. I looked at this actually early this morning because I was curious in the NFL. So of all of the games that have happened this year, actually, let's do this. Let's put this in the chat. I'm not going to tell you guys. I'll see if anybody can guess. So of all the NFL games this year, and then I'll get to answering your question, Jonathan, and you can see what you think of that. So of all the NFL games that have happened this year, what percentage do you guys think the spread has actually mattered? So what I mean by that is like what percentage of games has the spread actually come into play? So like if I take the Raiders tonight +7 and they win outright, the spread was totally irrelevant. Now, if I take the Raiders +7 and the Chiefs win by 4, now all of a sudden the spread was actually relevant. So I'm just curious if you guys don't mind commenting. I'm curious what you think the percentages of games that the spread has actually mattered. I see a couple of answers in here. Tommy, you're spot on right there. 20%. Yesterday, I think there were 4 games where the spread actually mattered. So I guess to answer your question, Jonathan, I mean, 7 and 9, not really key numbers. I mean, 9 is a key number. 6.5 is obviously a key number. But based on what's going on in the NFL, I mean, laying 9.5 is probably a safe bet if you think the Chiefs win. I mean, essentially in the NFL, at least this year, I mean, 80% of the time, if you just pick the winner, they're going to cover the spread. So they're going to cover the spread or they're going to win outright. So, I mean, yesterday, I think there were 4 games where the spread came into play. I can't remember them off the top of my head now. I know the Bears was 1. Bears Vikings plus 7.5. Eagles Cardinals, that line was 5.5. Ravens Bengals, that line was 3. And Tampa Bay Atlanta, that line was 9.5. So, I mean, to answer your question, I mean, if you're wanting plus money, it's probably not a bad bet. I mean, I would say if they cover 7, they probably cover 9. So interesting to say the least. I mean, basically NFL this year, pick the winner, pick who you think wins the game, or even if you're looking at taking a dog, just take them on the money line because it's pretty good chance of hitting. Baltimore -3 was a rip for me yesterday. Went even on the NFL, but up on college, so a decent weekend. Glad to hear you had a good weekend though, for sure. Yeah, that Ravens. I mean that game was terrible in terms of if you had the Raiders there -3. Ebar with the filters off, what width and minimum maximum odds are you looking for? So, I mean, when I have the filters off, basically really the only one that I add in, I mean, I clear the minimum maximum odds, but I set this to 40 and then, kind of look. And you'll see, I mean, a lot of the plays with a 40-cent market width are going to show up on the recommended filters as well. So that's my strategy there. But to be honest with you, most of my betting comes solely from the recommended filters. Let's see here. Have you noticed no big odds are slow to calculate? So actually, they're not slow to calculate. These are actually right. It's taking into account, Pinnacle here is kind of the base, and then it's calculating other sharp books as well. So based on all of the historical data we have, all of the back testing that we've done, we're showing you a more true kind of fair number here. So they're not slow to calculate. This is actually just what the no vig odds are now, which we believe are much more accurate based on, again, all of the historical data we have, all of the back testing we've done, to actually show you more of what the true odds are. So that's why you're seeing, I mean, these no vig odds are not maybe matching up with Pinnacle. And that's because, maybe DraftKings is sharp in college football. So when we come up with this formula, we're now weighting it to actually show that. So, I mean, underdog money lines in the NFL definitely have some value for sure. Crazy ending to the Eagles game. Yeah, I mean, the Eagles game was nuts. I saw a video this morning on Twitter of a guy. He pulled a fan out in his bedroom and was running it and pushed the kick wide right. Thought that was pretty entertaining. But yeah, I mean, that kicker had missed all of the games or all of the kicks in warmups. He had missed it to the right. So did exactly what he did in warmups. Paying attention to the key numbers is something to consider, but more times than not, you give up too much big, then it's not worth it. Yeah, I mean, key numbers are definitely important. I mean, I see what you're saying there in terms of, kind of that example, if that's what you were referring to, Tommy, of what Jonathan said, where, if you're going to lay 7, maybe you lay 9 to get plus money. I always it seems like points are so critical in the NFL, but I mean, obviously the statistics say otherwise. 80% of the time the spread doesn't matter. So, I mean, very, very interesting to say the least. Brian, let's see here. Take a look at Bet365 for you. See what's out there for some EV plays. Not sure what'll be out there, at least as of right now, but we can take a look, and then we'll jump over to the we'll jump over to the odds screen real quick. I haven't actually looked at the lines for next week, so we'll take a look at those together. I'll kind of give you some my opinion on some of those games, and if you've got questions about them, we can go from there. So, Brian, to answer your question here, Juju under 4.5 looks like that moved. James Madison over 65. That's minus 110 on a lot of books. I don't know how I feel about that. Let me look. Yeah, not really too sold on that. Yeah, don't really like that over 65. There's a lot of books with that number. Oklahoma State plus 167 on the money line. That looks pretty decent, especially if you're looking at Pinnacle there. Auburn plus 14.5, getting the hook against Ole Miss. I mean, I actually like this play. Ole Miss coming into the top 10 now for the first time all year, I believe. So it's always a good bet to make, or a good team to fade there. So do like Auburn plus the 14.5 there. So yeah, that would probably be the one that I would take there in that spot. What player props are you placing? Would you place on Prize Picks tonight, Brett? Let's see if there's anything out there for Prize Picks. I have not looked specifically for that. I don't know if there were any NFL plays for Prize Picks. I think it was all baseball tomorrow, but we'll take a look. Looks like Hollins over 2.5 catches. Although actually you would need to put that in a 5 flex because the odds if you do a 2-leg entry are actually minus 137. You're obviously taking worse than the no vig odds, and the average odds are only minus 136. So that would not be a very good play for a 2-leg there. So some of the odds in my probability calculator seem slow to update. For example, it says over 45. Jets and BetUS. I want to go BetUS. Slowed by Wade. You might check the alternate lines. I would guess that's where that would probably be. So you would need to check the alternate lines out there to be able to find that number. So yeah, let's see. Let's take a couple of minutes here. Hop over. Let's see here. Jersey Boy wants underdog. Let's take a look here real quick. Go back. Let me see. I don't know if there's anything for underdog either, but we can certainly look. Today's just a slow day in sports. Yeah, no, nothing in underdog. I mean, Monday night is our only game that's out there, so nothing there for underdog. Is there any way we can go over the best way to convert free bets with a small bankroll? Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, if you're wanting to convert your free bets to cash, if you come here to the free bet converter, you can click on, say your bets at DraftKings, and let's say you have, I don't know, say you want to hedge it with MGM, FanDuel, PointsBet, maybe Bet365, maybe Barstool. So you can select the books where you want to hedge it with, and then what it'll do is it'll show you where the best value is. So like if you had a $100 free bet on DraftKings, if you put that 100 on Tampa Bay minus 21.5, and then you put 323 on the PointsBet side, you would make a guaranteed $76. So you just have to have, whatever the difference is. So, I mean, if you have a smaller bankroll, I mean, maybe you look for a little smaller conversion percentage to where maybe you don't have to, potentially lay as much. So like this one, $100 bet, you'd only have to put up 260. So you could lower what you have to actually hedge with. Any player props for Monday Night Football in general, I'll still bet them if Prize Picks gives good numbers. Well, let's see. So, let's go game. We'll go Chiefs. So to answer your question here, Brett, Mahomes over 2.5 touchdowns at Betfred. Josh Jacobs under 3.5 receptions. Kelsey over 6.5 receptions, like that. Jacobs under 14.5 rushing attempts. McKinnon split value on both of those. Adams under 77.5 yards. Jacobs over 60.5 rushing. So there's a few that maybe are a good look there. Math baits bet, do you typically convert your free bets or play them with an EV bet? I mean, it really just depends. If it's a larger free bet, I'll typically convert it to cash. But I mean, if it's a smaller EV bet, if it's a smaller free bet, I mean, I'd rather just build an EV parlay, throw it on something like that from the EV page that's a long shot, or like I said, build an EV parlay with it is definitely the best route for me on those. So Juju Smith-Schuster, hamstring, under's a good pick. Yeah, that's a good point. It'll only pay out if he takes a snap. So although some books, if he dresses, they will actually count that as a bet. So let's go ahead real quick. Let's take a look at the screen. I'm going to change this to the point spread. We'll just take a look, talk about a few of these games. Bears, Commanders, looks like that's Pick'em +1. I mean, no real interest there. Niners, Falcons. I mean, this game's pretty interesting. Falcons are 5-0 against the spread. Niners have been really, really solid against the spread and for the last couple of weeks. Probably would lean to the Niners there. Ravens, Giants. Ravens -4.5 on bookmaker. Giants +5.5. Don't really have a feel on that one. Vikings -3. That looks to me pretty good initially. Dolphins, more issues there at the quarterback position. Bengals -1.5 at the Saints. Not sure. I mean, I'm a Saints fan, obviously, but no real feel there. Colts -1 against the Jags. Little revenge there. I mean, they were shut out last time they played 24-0. So you got to think some revenge there on their minds. Packers -7 is interesting. Jets off of that big win. Arizona and Seattle, nothing there really. Probably lean to Arizona. Rams and the Panthers is actually a very interesting game. Panthers just fired Rule this morning. One of the angles I look for in the NFL is backing a team after they fire their coach. And chances are that locker room probably had quit on Rules. So Panthers actually, I think, has some pretty good value there. And then Bills -1.5 against the Chiefs. That is revenge city from last year. Probably would be looking at the Bills in that spot. Eagles, Cowboys, don't want any part of that game. Thoughts on the Mac Holland? I mean, we looked at Holland there. I think I thought it was the over maybe. Let's take a look and see. Thought the over had some value, but I do not know. Yeah, so Mac Holland over 2.5. I mean, it's got some value if you're going to do it in a 5 flex, but at -137, I mean, it's better than the average odds. So, I mean, you are getting a decent number, I guess. So over 2.5 doesn't look too bad. Josh Jacobs under 3.5 receptions. Points bet -135. Rams -10.5 +110 on the EV calculator. Yeah, I don't know. Rams may have been an EV play. I haven't had a chance to pay that much attention to the NFL this week or this coming week to see what EV plays are out there. So Rams definitely could have been an EV bet at -10.5. So that's going to do it for this stream today. I've got to jump to a customer call. So appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll be back here tomorrow at 2 Eastern, same time, same place. So feel free to tune in. We'll talk about the Monday night game. We can look at some baseball games for tomorrow, and then we'll look ahead to Sunday in the NFL as well. So appreciate you guys tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow.